Good afternoon, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on Saturday, June the 30th. We're getting ready for the Canada Day weekend, and man, oh man, are we under some kind of heat wave. Anyway, I've been working on a little project to basically open up the storage area in my kayaks, and so I'd like to just go through that process and show you what I did and let you see what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so let's get on with the job. Okay, so here is one of my three kayaks. I have two kayaks that are identical to this one, and as you can see, the access port in this kayak is so small, it's barely 6 inches across, and it is absolutely useless. And I don't know if you can see here on the inside, but there is actually a bulkhead behind there, and the caulking for that bulkhead has now come off, so I want to reseal that. And you know, I just can't get a caulking gun in that hole. Now, you know, you can see this basically is where the bulkhead is underneath here. So you can see that's actually quite a large storage area that I really can't utilize because of the size of the access hole. So I've decided to customize this hole and make that opening slightly larger. And the other thing here, just in case anyone else has the same problems I do, you know, when I carry the kayak, this edge here is awfully sharp on my shoulder. So this, I don't know if you can see what it is, but it is a noodle, a swimming noodle, and I just cut that to length, put a slice in it so that it just slips over like that. And so you've got this nice tough, this is a tough material, soft pad for your shoulder, and because it comes on and off, you can put it from side to side. This has been a great kayak. Both of them have. Actually, the other one is barely used. I bought them for when the kids were young. So this kayak is at least, wow, I would say at least 15 years old. I bought it as a blemish. I think it cost me $350 from Clearwater Design. Come on in. There we go, look. He's eating into my hand, and he'll actually let me touch him. Yep. So we're moving on to the next stage. What I want to do is to get this little critter to climb up on my hand, right up in the air. So this is a little company called Clearwater Design, and they are out of St. Mary in Prince Edward County. This is just outside of Belleville, and they sometimes have blemished kayaks down there. And the one you want to be looking for, I don't know if you can see there behind the seat, see how that line is a little raggedy, they're sort of cut up into the outer area there. That is called a cockpit blemish, and it's just not showroom quality, but it doesn't alter anything. There's no structural issues, anything like that. So that is one of the kinds of blemishes that you can get. The other kind is a bottom problem, and it tends to ripple. Okay, and I don't like anything interfering with the underside of that kayak. Now, just whilst we're talking about kayaks here, there is a fairly well defined bow, okay, that will actually cut into the water, and these two flutes that are put into the bottom of the kayak are to help you go straight. Okay, so track straight in the water. And of course at the back here is another fairly well defined keel. Okay, this really does help with the paddling and the directional stability of the kayak. Now you'll see if you get like a downhill, not one of the little looks like a little shoe that you get into, but the white water that looks like this, and you will see that there is no profile at the front or the rear, and this area here is basically completely rounded. This is the lowest point right here where you sit, and the idea is that you can turn quickly. You can spin with your butt and turn that kayak quickly if you're going around rocks or down chutes or this kind of stuff, and so you want to be able to turn quickly. But those kayaks, I can tell you, when you try to paddle those on flat water, wow, are they ever difficult to keep straight. It will put you off. You will hate kayaking after that. And personally, now I've seen these Pelican kayaks, you know, the ones that sort of seem to have an inside and an outside, and you sort of sit more on top of the kayak. I would rent one of those. I would rent one of those and try them out and see how you feel about it. In fact, I would recommend that with any kind of kayak, okay? Because, as I said, not all kayaks paddle the same way, and so yes, I would take that kayak out. I would rent it. I tried a Pelican at someone else's cottage, and I found that I was sitting too high out of the water. It made paddling very uncomfortable indeed. You know, especially if you're going like a long distance. So, as I say, I'm gonna beef this up. This is my hardest working kayak. I use this tons every year, and like I say, you can see with the bottom it's in pretty good shape. The plastic material that they use to make the kayak isn't worn through at all. It's pretty tough stuff, and I may even put some kind of resin on the bottom of that to protect it a little bit more. But like I say, I have another one in the garage. It's almost brand new. And so let's see what I have done, or I'm going to do, to customize this entranceway a little bit. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut a cardboard template to show where that is going to fit on the back of the kayak. So you can see I am almost doubling the size of that hole and making it quite a bit longer, so you can actually access quite a bit more inside of there. And so then I decided I'm going to use this plywood here, okay, which is a 1/2 inch ply. It is an exterior ply, so the glue is waterproof. That's going to be underneath here, underneath this part of the support part, because I think that needs to be fairly tough. And this is going to be the exterior. I'm going to make a little hatchway out of that, and this is 1/4 inch mahogany ply, and also I was told that it has excellent glue, so it won't come apart when it gets moist. And so let's get at it. Okay, so there we have our 2 pieces marked out. I'm actually going to make 2 matching sets, and we're going to use the good old hand jigsaw to cut those out. And anyways, I'm not going to video the whole cutting, but this is the idea. You're going to cut these out and then put one on top of the other so that they match up, and sand those edges down so they are exactly the same. And okay, so we'll go on to the next process. Okay, so now I've cut out the 3 sections. This is going to be the hatchway entrance, and I will ultimately drill 4 holes in this, 1 in each corner, and I'm going to use wing nuts to hold that down. Here is the bit that's going to sit on the outside of the kayak, and here is the support, the 1/2 inch ply that's going to be underneath this part. So they're all going to fit together in a sandwich like that, and there will be, of course, the kayak skin will be between there, and I'm going to use glue. I'm going to use a contact cement and to hold that together, and then some stainless steel screws. And look at who we got here. Come on in. Come on in. Here's my friend. This is Harold. This the chipmunk. He sure is liking those nuts. Anyway, the next step with these is to varnish them. I've got some Spa marine varnish, and I'll be varnishing them at both sides. And of course they are marked. This one's marked set B, and this one is marked set A, so I don't get them all confused. But as soon as that, I've got about 4 or 5 coats of varnish on, and get that nice, smooth, glossy finish to it, I'll be doing the install onto the kayak itself, cutting the hole, and that should be interesting. Okie dokie. Okay, here is your Spa varnish. This is ultra hard, and we're just going to make sure the edges get done. I know this kind of a hatchway could be a high maintenance issue as far as weathering is concerned, but you know, I've always liked that look of the Peterborough boats with the varnished finish, and say I may have to take this off and revarnish it every couple of years, but it will certainly give that kayak a little bit of a unique look to it. And because right now, I mean, that hatch is so useless on there. I really don't do any camping with that kayak, and yet when I looked into that space at the back, the storage area, I realized that there was I could take really enough stuff with me to go for a weekend camp with that kayak. And so this is the whole idea behind a little bit of customization. Yeah, normally I have to take my orange kayak, and it's an okay kayak, but it's around about 10 pounds, 15 pounds heavier than this one is. This kayak weighs in around about 28 pounds. It's just ideal. You can portage with it and you're not breaking your back. So if I can use this one, I'd much rather. This is a perfect drying day. Make sure you get all of your edges. Actually, you should be doing these edges every time you do one side. You should do the inside edge as well, and I'll tell you why. Is because this is the end grain, and it is going to be highly highly porous. That's what I'm looking for. And so what you may find is that this is where it gets in between the wood. It's on these areas here, so make sure this has got plenty of coats of varnish on it. This is one thing, you basically cannot hurt this wood by applying extra varnish. That's right, Steve, not the varnish on the ground. There you go. As I said, this is a beautiful drying day, so I will be able to get the other side done today as well. But this is probably going to be a process that's going to last maybe 2 or 3 days to get those 4 or 5 really good coats of varnish on there to protect that wood. And so we will come back in a little while and I will show you how I'm going to cut the hole in my kayak and actually fit all these pieces in place.